Okay, so I'd like to show you how to use PowerPoint to create one of the stimuli for your experiment. So I'm going to just create a blank presentation with a blank slide, and I'm going to insert two images that are going to become your Chimera, okay? And we're going to be using the Radboud database faces, and there is a number of male and female models here, so you could see sort of different people, right? And each model is displaying 7 emotions, 7 emotional expressions. So A_A would be anger, D, disgust, F, fear, H, happiness, and neutral as surprise, sadness, and U, surprise. And so I want to just use happiness and neutral expression. So let me insert 2 of these pictures here. I mean, you can insert them one at a time too. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to crop these to just the head and maybe the neck, at least for the time being. So I click crop in PowerPoint, and then I basically crop it to the ears, let's say, and maybe the top of the head like that. Just for now. You could adjust it later if need be. Okay? And then we do the same thing here with this image. So click, this Format tab appears when you click on an image. Click Crop, and let's crop, again, to the tip of the ear here, and, you know, something like this. Okay, so one of the things we want to do is make sure, right, that this sort of head is a little bit smaller than that. And I mean, you can do it by eye for the time being, kind of line it up here. See that the top of the head is aligned, and maybe the top of the forehead is aligned, as well as the chin is probably pretty good here. Okay. Now, what we really want, though, is make sure that each half of the face is about the same width. Okay. So let me do this. Let me duplicate the slide. Okay, so that if I mess up, I can just go back easily and redo this. And if you right-click on an image, select size and position, you're going to have this menu pop up. Uncheck lock aspect ratio, or maybe, you know what, maybe you don't uncheck it, just leave it as is. Let's just say the width is going to be, you know, 4. Enter. And then let's see, this one, we can also make it 4. Okay, there you go. So now they are pretty much the same width. I think I still need to drop the chin down here a bit. Oh, you know what I can do? I can just do this. So as long as the width is 4, there. So a little bit like that, and now the chins are aligned. Okay, so let me duplicate this slide, and now I can crop these images individually. And remember, the width is 4 right now, so you just crop it to 2. So let me crop this half to 2 inches. And again, I have this format picture box here. Size tells you the width, and it also tells you the width right here. So that makes it a little bit easier for you to kind of figure out when you've got your... do that, 2.5. And then go over here and crop 2 inches, go in the other direction. So 2 inches. Put them together. Make sure that at least some of the parts align here. And here, I think what you can do, right, you can just make sure that, so the 2 halves are about, they are 2 inches wide, but you see how the chin doesn't quite align, and this eye seems to be a little bit higher. So I think what you can do is just kind of move it down, move this image down a bit until you have a little bit better alignment. Again, it doesn't have to be necessarily perfect, right? I mean, eyes probably, and you know, align this as best as you can. And so let me duplicate this again. And then if you hold Shift and click on both of these, you select both halves, right-click, and group them together. And now you can right-click and save as picture. And so I'll just say, you know, image 1. And I'll make it a JPEG. Image 1, JPEG, save. Okay. And now I could actually insert that image on the slide. So it's under my pictures. I name it image 1. Okay. So the reason that I wanted to do that, right, to save it as an image would be so that you could crop it. This thing here, you can't really crop. Okay, because it's two halves sort of grouped together, but the image you can crop. And here you have a number of options, and again, you have to kind of decide what your images are going to look like. But if your images are going to include hair, okay, you would want to have some hair. Okay, so something like that. If you think your image doesn't need to have hair, crop it down to here. Okay, you have to make sure that they're mostly, you know, all, like if you have, for instance, 10 of these images, right, that they all kind of show this forehead, right? They don't show the top of the head and so forth. So that's what you got to do with your images. I think I kind of like to show as much forehead as possible and some hair here on the sides. So I'm going to duplicate the slide. Okay, I don't need that part anymore. And here you can I know, so it doesn't look perfect, but you know, it's good enough. And if you know how to merge images in Photoshop, how to sort of blur the edges, maybe Photoshop or other software, right? You can certainly play around with it, but we don't have to. I think we're going to get the effect. I hope we're going to get the effect regardless of how sort of smooth the transition looks. Okay, so here's what you can do next. So you can take the easy way out and copy this image and then paste it right here. Okay, and then you can flip it around the x-axis. There you go. There. So now, right, you've got smile here on the left, and here the smile is on the right. Now, this picture looks a little darker than that. So what you can do is, if you click on this picture menu, go to picture correction, you can try to make it a little less bright here on the left. Okay, like 5%. That's probably enough, right? Maybe a little more like that. Okay, this one can be a little brighter. Right, I think that's pretty good, right? About the same, mostly, more or less. Okay, and so now you save these. These are your images. Like if you are doing something like, you know, you're putting these on top of each other, right? And asking participants which one looks happier. Well, you're going to have to put them together. So like one thing you can do actually, which would be really easy to do, and you're going to be thankful later, is if you select both of these, and again I click on each holding the Shift key, and then you save it as a picture. I don't know, you can name it however you want, but you need to be able to kind of keep track of top happy on left. Okay, let's say we do that. Okay, and now that is your image. That is your image. And so if you go to your pictures folder, there you go. That is your stimulus that you would insert into Qualtrics. If you're using just, right, one face and have the participant rate how happy this face looks, you can just have a single image, but here, this is an example of a 2-image trial. Now, what you would want to do, right, is to make sure that, let's say if you have 10 trials, you're going to have the smile or whatever emotion you're manipulating, right, on the top on the left half the time. So in 5 trials, okay, in 5 trials, this is going to be on the top, and for 5 other trials, okay, the emotion is going to be actually on the right side for the top face. Okay, and this is how you put together a face. Now, when you're at this point here, you can actually play around with this. So, for instance, if you click on the second button here, the Effects button, go to Artistic Effects, you could say create a different kind of effect. Let's see, do this one at a time, like some sort of cartoon effect, right? So you could do it that way to see whether there is still this left hemifield bias when it comes to emotion when you have cartoon copies. I mean, you can certainly try and invert these faces and see if the effect still persists. So that would be rotation here. Right? You can do it that way. Okay? So do the effects persist in inverted faces? And again, see how this image is darker than that one. So you're going to have to, if you do it this way, you're going to have to adjust the brightness. Okay, and make this a little bit darker. All right, so that's another variant.